Hey guys, this is Gio with Unmatched Style, and I'm talking to Ryan Singer at Front End Conf. And so you just gave your talk, and could you just describe it a little bit for us?
The describe your hour talk in 5 minutes
Yeah,
thing is always
yeah,
interesting
I
challenge.
know, kind of the bullet points. I
Yeah,
guess.
basically, you know, at these sort of conferences, there's a lot of like people giving CSS techniques and JavaScript techniques and nuts and bolts kind of stuff. And the thing I don't see enough of is like, how do you think about like what to put on the screen and how do you judge what's on the screen? So I wanted to give a kind of a peek at that thought process.
Right.
You know, so I just kind of walked through looking at a couple screens and talking about like how to look at it kind of with a fresh perspective and really look at what the screen is kind of pushing into your brain. Like where are your eyes naturally drawn and then what do they see versus kind of what was your idea behind the screen and stuff like that.
Well, you talked a little bit of like the gestalt and the science behind it and everything. And a lot of times speakers talk mostly about, you know, almost to-dos basically, how to do things and, you know, process-oriented things.
Right.
And so like, do you think that's a big part of it that's maybe lacking in the way people approach their UI design?
Whenever I see a design that doesn't work so well, the only thing I can explain about it is that the person who made it didn't really look at it. You know, like I see a lot of designs where like they have like obvious usability problems.
Right.
And I think it's because like a lot of us make designs that have usability problems. But then we kind of, after we make the design, we just assume that the design is done, and then we focus on building it out, and then we think that maybe some third party is going to test it, and they're going to tell us that there's a problem with it, as opposed to thinking that it's like our responsibility to have this kind of objective eye, where we look at whatever it is that we made, and we say like, what is this thing actually showing me? Does it actually make sense? Like, is it really showing me what I need? Like, it's this basic thing about just like looking at your own work. It's sort of like an author who writes an article and they need to imagine their reader reading it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've all read terrible stuff written by people who didn't understand that it was meant for somebody else to read.
Right.
And you're like, what are they talking about, or what's the context here? So, yeah, I mean, like people seem to really discount the first-person perspective.
Okay.
You know, everybody talks about how like you never know until users come, and you never know. Like, I don't understand how you could do this job and say like you never know. Like, well, aren't you supposed to be
like you never know who your specific audience is going to be, or
you
who
never
you're targeting.
know like what's going to work or what's not going to work. I think that's completely true for marketing, by the way. Like, I don't know anything about marketing.
Right.
Like, so we use.
Yeah, you guys are epic for A/B testing.
We do tons of A/B testing on that. We're just getting into it, and we're more and more learning from it. But UI is a whole different bag. See, with marketing, you're trying to convince people to do something that they don't want to do. Necessarily.
All right.
You know? So you have all kinds of psychology and stuff going on. With UI, somebody's coming in to do a task, and they are convinced that they want to manage their project, or whatever. You don't have to convince them that they like have some problem. You're actually there as a remedy. It's like the pain reliever doesn't have to convince you to like to remove your pain. It just needs to like work.
Right.
You know. So it's in that case, you know the problem, you know the constraints, you have a brain, and you know, like, you can see how your own brain works and how your eyes move and scan and what they notice and what they don't. So like that's a lot of first-person information. So I think we should be talking about that more.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I remember, I think it was actually in response to a question, you kind of responded in that same way, talking about, you know, that like a third-party view of the work is actually like overrated, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has its place. I'm not coming out and saying that usability testing is bad or anything like that. But the problem is that when everybody talks about how do you find out if your design is good or not, the conversation is dominated by usability testing.
Right.
And usability testing is something that a lot of people talk about and a lot of people spend money on, and very few people that I know who do good work really feel good about and care about, and like are we like, oh, check out this usability testing, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like we look to Apple, people like Apple as the examples that inspire us, not the usability testing lab.
That's true.
Because Apple has taste. You know what I mean?
And vision.
Like, it's inspiring that they have an idea about what's good and bad. You know, and they look at their stuff. They make stuff for them, and then they look at it and they say, like, is this good or bad or not? And that seems, you know, from what I can tell, that's how they're making decisions.
Yeah.
And that to me is like totally inspiring.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to like make stuff and not know what I'm doing, and then wait for somebody else to grade me on it.
Yeah.
Like I went to school. That wasn't fun. You know, like I'm over that.
All right. Well, thank you. That was great. Yeah, it was good to hear you talk, and nice talking to you.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Yeah.